U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with the Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar today as the two countries aim to enhance cooperation on a range of issues. In focus was the security situation in Afghanistan. Both India and the U.S. have backed a peace process that is Afghan-led and Afghan-owned. But the rise in violence in the country has sent alarm bells ringing. Both sides remained committed to a free and stable Afghanistan without the Taliban taking over the country.
Regarding Afghanistan, it is essential that peace negotiations are taken seriously by all parties. The world wishes to see an independent, sovereign, democratic and stable Afghanistan, at peace with itself and with its neighbors. But its independence and sovereignty will only be ensured if it is free from malign influences.
First, as I noted, we remain very much engaged in Afghanistan in support of the government through the various forms of assistance we're providing, including to the security forces, as well as the diplomacy that we're engaged in to try to bring the parties together in a meaningful way to resolve the conflict peacefully. And ultimately, an Afghanistan that does not respect the rights of its people, an Afghanistan that commits atrocities against its own people, would become a pariah state.
Also, a key focus area was the Indo-Pacific, with the two leaders stressing on their commitment to a free and prosperous Indo-Pacific.
And President Biden feels a deep personal commitment to making our friendship with India as strong and as effective as it can be. We believe this partnership will be critical for delivering stability and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region and beyond.
In a globalized world today, India has interests far beyond its immediate borders. Certainly we have interests in the Indian Ocean, in the Pacific Ocean, in the Indo-Pacific. Our major trade partners are there, our major trade routes are there, our political partners are there. We have big community interests. I mean, any parameter you use, it's very visible that India has interest in the Indo-Pacific.
The rise of the Quad was another crucial topic of discussion. The US and India are part of the Quad regional alliance that includes Japan and Australia. The alliance is a move to counter China's growing economic and military strength and ensure a free and open Indo-Pacific.
What the Quad is actually quite simple, but as important as it is simple. Four like-minded countries, India, the United States, Japan, Australia, coming together to work collectively on some of the most important issues of our time that are going to have a real impact on the lives of our people, and to do it in a way that hopefully ensures a free and open Indo-Pacific region and peace, security, and prosperity for the people of that region. So what we're doing together is coordinating, pooling our resources, pooling our thinking, and actively collaborating on a whole variety of issues that have an impact on the lives of our people, on COVID-19 and the vaccine initiative that we took with the first leaders meeting that took place just a few months ago.
The two sides also lauded their cooperation during the COVID-19 pandemic. Jaishankar and Blinken both thanked each other for the assistance that the two sides have received to deal with the crisis.
Let me first acknowledge the responsiveness of the Biden administration to keeping the raw material supply chain open for vaccine production in India. And then say a big thanks for the support we received during the COVID second wave from the United States, a support that I would say was truly exceptional.
Washington has long viewed New Delhi as a key partner, and the Biden administration has focused on India-US ties since taking charge. Blinken is the third Biden administration official to visit India in the last 6 months, after Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and climate envoy John Kerry. And our principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibal, has been getting us all these updates and monitoring that visit very closely. Siddhant, if you can elaborate on the key takeaways from the discussions on the Afghan security situation between the two leaders.
Well, yes, Afghanistan topped the priority when it comes to the conversation, whether it's with EM, Dr. S. Jaishankar, or whether it's with NSA Ajit Doval. But at the press statement, there was quite a bit elaboration on how both sides are converging. In fact, the Indian External Affairs Minister did point out that there is a considerable convergence between Washington and New Delhi when it comes to the evolving Afghan situation. And what interesting point was made by the EM was that India doesn't want that there are terror safe havens in Afghanistan, or neither Afghanistan should become a source of refugees. And this is for the first time that India has talked about the refugee crisis, which has been a worry as well for the regional countries. This has been a worry for the European Union as well, which has publicly talked about it. But India is another country which has now publicly talked about the refugee crisis that might start because of the increased violence level in Afghanistan, because Taliban is making territorial gains. But the message was clear. The message was that if you try to grab power through violence, this is something that will not be accepted. And both sides publicly said that there should be talks between the Afghan government and Taliban. In fact, there are talks which are happening, the intra-Afghan talks in Doha. But the process is very slow, and it looks like Taliban is trying to buy time. They, of course, have been talking about the release of their prisoners, approximately 7,000 Taliban prisoners in the Afghan government's custody, while the Afghan government has been talking about the ceasefire which is required so that there is less impact on the civilians. So it is a power sharing agreement which both sides and regional countries and Washington are looking for, a power sharing between Taliban and the Afghan government. But will it happen is a big question, given that on ground Taliban is making gains, and it would not like to have a power sharing agreement when it believes that it is very close to Kabul nonetheless. So that remains a key worry for the regional countries, and both India and US have in fact voiced their concerns from here, from New Delhi, something that Kabul will be keenly noting.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.